Okay, let's get into this. We've got a pile of sources here today, June 8th, 2025, market reports, news, analyst takes, all trying to make sense of the crypto market right now.
Yeah, it's quite the stack. And our goal really is to sift through it all, cut out the noise, and figure out what actually matters for you.
Exactly. Find those key insights. And, there's a lot of influencing things, from the big economic picture right down to individual coins and traders.
It really is about connecting those dots, isn't it? Seeing how one piece affects another.
Right. So let's start with some specific coins mentioned. CoinMarketCap flagged something about Solana and XRP. Mysterious movements, I think was the phrase. Sounds a bit dramatic.
Yeah, it does grab your attention. Looking deeper, especially at the XRP details from another source, it seems mysterious movements often points to, well, large transactions, big chunks of crypto moving on-chain, or sudden trading spikes without an obvious public reason.
Ah, okay. So not necessarily like secret plots, but activity that analysts can't immediately explain.
Pretty much. For SRP specifically in June, the sources highlight price volatility. Analysts are watching certain resistance levels very closely. It suggests there might be significant whales or, maybe institutions making moves behind the curtain.
Gotcha. Interesting. And speaking of individual actions, there was that mention of James Nguyen, a Bitcoin play.
Oh, yeah, that definitely caught my eye. A report mentioned him opening a pretty high-risk Bitcoin position using 40x leverage.
Wow, 40x. That's significant.
It is, and that kind of high-leverage trading, as the source notes, it adds risk to the whole market, doesn't it? Because if a position that large goes wrong, it can really amplify price swings for everyone. It's a stark reminder of the speculative side of things.
No kidding. Definitely ups the ante. Okay, shifting gears a bit, let's talk stablecoins. We saw news about Tether and Circle, seemingly going in opposite directions.
That's right. Cointelegraph reported Tether CEO Paolo Arduino just stated on June 7th that Tether has zero plans for an IPO.
Huh. Interesting timing, because their big competitor, Circle.
Exactly. Circle is pushing ahead with going public on the New York Stock Exchange, so a real strategic split there. Arduino even apparently said viewing Tether at a $515 billion valuation would be a bit bearish?
A bit bearish, wow. That gives you some idea of their internal perspective, doesn't it?
It certainly does. Shows a very different path and maybe self-perception compared to Circle.
Okay, so beyond these company specifics, the sources also kept bringing up the bigger picture, the macro environment.
Absolutely critical right now. One piece really emphasized the market's intense focus on the upcoming US CPI data, Consumer Price Index.
Right, inflation numbers. Always important, but especially now.
Especially now, because everyone's trying to guess what the Federal Reserve will do about interest rates. That CPI number is seen as a major clue. Crypto markets, like traditional ones, are super sensitive to Fed policy changes, so this report is being watched like a hawk.
Makes sense. Macro is definitely still a huge driver.
Yeah.
But looking maybe a bit more speculatively, were there specific altcoins flagged as interesting right now for June 2025?
Yes, there was an article looking specifically at altcoins maybe set to explode was the word they used. The ones highlighted were BlockDAG, Cosmos, Aptos, and Alay.
Okay, BlockDAG, Cosmos, Aptos, Aave. And why them, according to the source? Just hype or?
Well, the article tried to stress it wasn't just hype. It mentioned real signals, things like ongoing development, their ecosystems expanding, specifically highlighting progress seen this month in June 2025 as reasons they're gaining ground. So focusing on fundamentals.
Good context. Focus on development.
Yeah.
And lastly, just quickly, there was a note about SUI, something about a hack.
Yeah, just a brief mention. A source noted that the price prediction for SUI in 2026 has mixed sentiment, and it linked this somehow to the fallout from a hack. There was a reference to something called the Quebec's wallet arch, too, maybe related to the security discussion. Seems like that incident is still casting a shadow.
Right, okay. So quite a mix of factors we've covered. Let's try and pull it together for you listening.
Yeah, a lot to digest.
We've talked about turbulence in specific coins like Solana and XRP, that high-leverage Bitcoin play from Nguyen, the different roads being taken by Tether and Circle.
The huge focus on U.S. economic data, like the CPI, and then these specific altcoins, BlockDAG, Cosmos, Aptos, Avar, getting attention for development. Plus, lingering issues like the SUI hack fallout.
Exactly. It paints a really complex picture. Which brings us to a final thought, really a question for you to ponder. Given all these different forces we've just discussed, Specific project stuff, individual trader actions, big company strategies, major economic indicators. Which type of factor do you think actually holds the most weight right now? What's really steering the ship in the crypto market as we see it today? Something to chew on.